It's my privilege and pleasure to introduce the first of our distinguished guest speakers. He bears a famous name and needs very little in the way of introduction. Alfred Nobel, the Swedish chemist and industrialist, of course, was the man who invented dynamite and left his fortune to be used for the Nobel Prize. He himself was a bachelor, but Mr. Claes Nobel is his grandnephew. He was inspired by the work of his distinguished forebear and has himself had the inspiration to found an organization which is called United Earth, of which he is still the chairman. And this organization has itself instituted a prize in the ecological sphere, which is not one of the Nobel Prizes. There's no prize for ecology. And this prize he calls Earth Ethics. He met Shri Mataji last year in India when he was the chairman of the World Philosophers Conference. So without any more ado, I'd like to invite Mr. Claes Nobel to come onto the stage, please.
Well, indeed, life is full of surprises. After all, we are meeting here inspired by the message and work by Holy Mother Shri Mataji Nirmala Devi, and she is not here in body, but she's here in spirit. Also the wonderful letter that we recently heard from the Ayatollah Rouhani, which speaks very highly about the work and the mission of the Holy Mother, where he indicates the importance of women in the world, is neither here. And frankly speaking, only 36 hours ago, I did not know that I would be here tonight at the Royal Albert Hall, addressing this audience. Still, I say, dear Holy Mother, and I also recognize her husband, Sir C.P. Srivastava, in the audience. And I say, most importantly, dear friends, fellow seekers of truth, are you out there? Because with all this light, I can only see about 20 people in front of me. So say yes if you are here, then I know. Ah. Now I can see you, and I can hear you as well as you can see and hear me. With that said, I want to say, I have a vision. I have a vision for the world that is better, safer, and saner than the one that we presently are experiencing. It is a world where people live in harmony and peace with themselves, and in harmony and peace with nature. Now those words are vast, it's a bold vision. Do I have a practical way of going from vision to reality? Yes, I will share that with you. And I will share it and indicate the tone of the meeting by 10 small words. And they indicate how this global world transformation shall be undertaken. And they are right thoughts, right words, right deeds, right here and right now. The key word The key word is, of course, right. This world is fighting about what is right. What is right to you might be wrong to me, or vice versa. It's a gray area. So we need a reference point, so we can distinguish between right and wrong, and between truth and lie. Tonight, Shri Mataji will show us what is right. Tonight, Shri Mataji will empower us to become the masters of our own destiny. And tonight, we will be guided by the knowledge of self-realization. We will do so in the light of truth. And we shall all know absolute truth and absolute peace. Now, 100 years ago, Alfred Nobel established the Nobel Prizes. These prizes represent excellence. We have prizes in chemistry, physics, medicine, literature, and peace. Of those prizes, I hold the Peace Prize to be the finest. And I want to tell you that Alfred Nobel listened to a woman. He listened to his secretary, Bertha von Suttner, in Paris 100 years ago, when she said, "Dr. Nobel, you should use your vast fortune for betterment of the world." Tonight, we are listening to another woman. We are listening to the message of Shri Mataji. However, I'm very much inspired, first by my uncle, and later on you'll hear by Shri Mataji. Alfred Nobel talked much about peace. He was frightened that his awesome explosive dynamite, which cleared up land for harbors and tunnels, could also be used for warfare. Today, in the arsenal of military systems, it's like a small firecracker. But at that time, dynamite was the most awesome destructive material. Now, Alfred Nobel thought basically about peace as absence of war. But I assure you that peace is much more than absence of war. And I see that peace exists in 4 specific areas. The first area is the peace that an individual has in him or herself. How do we treat our mind, our emotions, and our feelings? How do we treat our body? Are we slaves to other masters, or are we our own master? Until we have the inner peace in ourselves, we can never have an outer peace in the world. And the safest and best way of finding world peace is to have mass movements that includes all religions and philosophies, all enterprises, whether they are of political or scientific nature, to realize what inner peace is. And that's what we are talking about tonight. Self-realization. What does self-realization mean? Well, it means that we are realizing something, but what is the self? Ladies and gentlemen, the self in us is the divine cosmic powers that exist in each and every individual, but which is dormant in most people around the world. The spiritual leaders from ancient laws, they knew about this, and they spoke about this. But this secret of secret has been suppressed deliberately until Shri Mataji, with great courage and great wisdom, being an old soul, who decided by herself to come back to the earth at this critical time in our history in order to share her knowledge and wisdom, which is the Sahaja yoga, which is instant self-realization, which is to activate the dormant principle that we all have, the Kundalini, and have the Kundalini to raise up, and thus we become what it says in the Bible, you are created in my image. That was the first category, first sphere of peace, the one we have in ourselves. The next one is the peace that we have among each other, in the family, in our community, in our nation, that we have peace with other ethnic groups and with other religions, that we really become true, what I call active listeners, and as active listeners are able to put ourselves in the place, in the shoes of the other party. Only then, when we have the outlook from their perspective, shall we understand what they are trying to say. We are always talking. My dear wife, who is not here tonight, she said, "Claes, you talk too much. You don't listen." I have started to practice what she calls active listening. The third sphere is the sphere that pulled me in originally. After all, I'm a European Swedish businessman. Why am I up here speaking the language of spirituality and saying that that is where the hope of the future exists? I'm doing so because I have a deep and profound reverence for nature. As a Nobel Peace Laureate Dr. Albert Schweitzer said, after he had worked and worked trying to distill a phrase that contained everything that he knew, everything he wanted to say through his philosophy, Dr. Albert Schweitzer coined the phrase, reverence for life. Nature is nothing but a plethora of examples of life in its multifaceted version. And I tell you, dear fellow seekers of truth, we humanity today, in our ignorance, in our greed, and in our lust for power, we are in the process of destroying the very thing that makes this planet unique, and that is life on Earth. And so far, we do not know of another planet in the universe that harbors this miracle. Earth is like a blue jewel in space. And there's only one Earth, and this Earth is fragile, and we must take care of her and respect her. Earth is also called nature. We cannot break the laws of nature. We must live by the laws of nature. If we break them, Mother Earth will break us. And we are only one species of, we do not know how many species we have, 5, 10, 15 millions. But this we know. And this has been proven by the world's foremost scientists in Harvard University, United States, Dr. Edward O. Wilson. We are today bringing to extinction 250 species per day. That is as if we are deliberately and willfully pulling out thread after thread after thread of what consists the fabric of life. And Mother Nature will not let us continue doing that without correcting us as naughty children. The fourth sphere of peace is the peace that we shall know between ourselves and God. Any religion or any group who raises their arms and destroys its enemy in the name of God is not following what God has asked us to do. The world should not know of violence. And the world should not know of war. I call, as we earlier heard, these four spheres of peace, earth ethics. And tonight we will hear more from the Holy Mother how we shall have a reference point, how we can distinguish if we have a charlatan and a fraud in front of us, or if it's a genuine, honest person. And you, dear audience, you have come here tonight from many different walks of life. And like you, I have also been seeking for the truth. I am beginning to discern truth rather clearly. And let me tell you this, that I look upon life on earth as a kind of a school where we are learning perfection and purification. Now, on earth everything is interdependent, interactive, and interrelated. And on earth, as well as in heaven, I guess, every action has a reaction. Every effect has a cause. Every cause has an effect. And the Holy Mother, as I said, she is a highly evolved soul. She has learned from many, many lives what it is all about. And these, what it is all about, laws, the unseen laws, the spiritual laws, they are always here, and they work as infallible as the law of gravity works. It always works, although it's an unseen law. It is for us to learn and perceive that law. I am very comfortable with the teachings of Shri Mataji, and I am very comfortable with the Holy Mother herself. I say so because in the Bible there's one saying among several good ones: you shall know the tree by its fruit. And lately I have met young men and women in different parts of the world, and certainly from many different parts of the world, and they are all shining, beautiful human individuals that radiate inner peace and balance. They are unique. You who follow and you who are in the process of following will be, I think, those individuals who shall call themselves ambassadors for the earth. And after tonight's session is over, I'm sure that you shall see clearly how you shall distinguish between truth and lie. And you shall realize that blind faith is of no value, and that fanaticism and to take up violence as a last argument is of no value. Eventually, those things will bring you unhappiness, they will bring you conflict and potentially war.